Hey, what's up, guys? So, this is week 5. Can't believe we've made it this far with all the craziness that's gone down and, you know, breakdowns and whatnot. I'm surprised. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of cool to see that we've gotten this far. This week is kind of a special week because I've got a friend here, Rebecca Reyes. She apparently has her own past with separation and dealing with loved and lost and whatnot. So, yeah, brought her on to go answer some questions and things like that. But yeah, I'm gonna give her some time to introduce herself and I guess go over who she is and why she is that way, and then we'll just kind of ask some questions.
Okay, yeah. So, the basic. Uh, been divorced for a little over 2.5 years now. I was married for 7. It was not a bad time. It really wasn't. But we realized, my ex-husband realized about midway through our marriage that he had disassociated so much of himself that he didn't realize he was gay until about halfway through, after his father had passed away, who was a very influential part of his life. So once he had done that, or his father had passed away, within the next year, I think he had realized he was gay. And then he tried to kind of figure it out. Then once he realized he couldn't, he came out to me. And he and I tried to make it work for a few months. And we both just saw that wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't going to be healthy. It wasn't going to be happy. I think there would have been some sort of regret and lots of baggage that just shouldn't be in a marriage. So we came to the conclusion that, especially for our daughter, she was 5 at the time, how it was
Nice.
best
Okay.
to get a divorce.
So you guys had a kid and everything.
We
That's
did
crazy.
have a kid and everything, yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Did you say your husband came out as gay, right?
He did, yeah.
Is he single or?
He has a boyfriend. They have been dating. I think they started dating about 2 months after our divorce. So
Hoping to see if there was some chemistry, but that's fine.
No, you're out of
Sounds
luck,
like
man.
he's in a committed relationship.
They've moved
That's
in
cool.
together. They have a house
Getting
together.
used to being lonely. It's fine. I'll get through it. That's what we're doing.
Nah, he's not your type. You're fine.
He's not my type. Yeah. He probably likes successful people, doesn't he?
Something
Knew
like
it.
that. Something
Knew
like that.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So most of what I do on this podcast is just, I don't know, help people go through and talk about what it is to just handle and sort of muscle through the day to day. And so when you think back to, when you guys were first divorced, obviously there's a major transition that goes from there, right? You guys are like living together day to day and stuff like that. And how did that change in terms of like emotionally and just how you looked at life when that separation happened?
I think one of the hardest things to get used to at first was learning to sleep alone. That was so stupid hard. I, I mean, I'm one of those people. Like I'll give you space in the bed if you want it, but I need at least something touching my person, whether it's my foot, my hand, just for a little bit. It just helps me to fall asleep. Excuse me.
Those little rice hot pads, they don't do it for you. Like it has to be an actual, like a human being there, right?
Yeah, no, I hate the pillows.
Okay.
Don't
Okay.
like them.
Gotcha.
So, no, yeah. So that was really hard for me, learning to sleep by myself. I really didn't sleep very well for the first year. And eventually, I was able to. But that was hard. That was really hard because when you do something like sleep together, I mean, other than like the intimacy part, but there's a different type of intimacy with just having somebody there, that you knowing that's your person, someone who's committed to you enough to spend that sort of time and devote that much attention to you. So when you realize that is gone,
That's true.
and like you live your day trying to forget everything that just happened, and then you go to bed at night and realize it's still there. It's still true, and everything that happened.
Oh my gosh, no, that I totally understand that, and like I've been there. I remember, oh gosh, it was probably a matter of months where I could only sleep on one side of the bed.
I still only
'Cause,
sleep
like,
on one side of the
Are
bed.
you serious?
I
You still do it?
I still do
Oh
it.
my gosh, that's crazy. I mean, I finally pushed myself to actually like, all right, let's take the middle. Let's take that leap of faith.
Yeah.
But seriously, that's what you get used to. And
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I almost felt guilty going onto the other side of that, because it was almost like their space and you didn't want to invade their space or be in trouble if they
Yeah.
came back
It
and
just
found
feels
out that you
weird.
were
And a part of me
taking up
is
their
like
idea.
saving it. Because I would love to get married again someday. I
Okay.
have faith that it can work out. Because not everyone I meet is going to be gay.
Right,
No offense to
right.
the ex-husband. I was like, but that's the hope. And so part of me
No, yeah,
almost
there's plenty of
intentionally
girls out
does
there on
it.
Tinder.
Yeah, absolutely right. So I unintentionally leave that spot open because I have faith that someone is going to be in the bed with me again someday.
I like that. That's actually really impressive.
That is
'cause-
something I do because I refuse to let that go because I know there's someone else out there for me.
Huh, that's crazy. I wonder how it is with other people, whether there's a
Right.
good amount that feel that same way, right? Where they just keep that side open and sort of, like you said, sort of save it.
Yeah, it's kind of metaphorical, you know?
Right,
Because there's so many
right.
people I know that just, they love the entire bed. There's so
I
many
was gonna
people
say,
I
in
know who
comparison to those
don't
people.
sleep with their spouses, which I don't understand.
I mean, yeah, that's weird.
It is weird. I
Probably
can't
shouldn't
do
be
that.
married.
But
Maybe it's like a friend's
that's
thing.
what I'm saying. But
Maybe it's like a contagious thing. Like they have disease. They didn't know about it until then they got married.
they
And
didn't
were
realize
committed.
that
They're like, well,
body
this
warmth
is that
wasn't for
four
them.
worst thing. That body warmth wasn't for them. They're like, I'm cold. I like it that way.
Basically, yeah.
All right. I like it. So, what kept you going through all of that? Like you said, obviously it was a very hard transition and still even affects you, 2-3 years afterwards. So, what, I guess, motivated you or gave you that hope to sort of go through the day to day or to keep going through the day to day?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a religious person, so that obviously plays a huge role. Having faith
Nice.
in God and the man upstairs, knowing that if he
Yeah.
loves me and if I do the best I can with my life,
Right.
that's going to help a ton.
Valhalla, all that jazz. It's good stuff.
You know, praise Jesus. So, but, I mean, there's therapy. That kept my brain where it needed to go, knowing that the things that were
Okay.
happening to
Okay.
me were normal. Like, I pulled this up because I always forget, like, the phrases or the steps of the grief cycle. So knowing when I was going through the phases of denial, it's like, oh, that's okay. It's normal to think this isn't happening, even though it
So you should
obviously
like
is.
put a label on it. It was
Yes,
like, this
because
is denial.
a part of me felt
Okay.
like
I
I was
that.
going crazy a little bit, especially when I hit, because there's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, especially when the bargaining happened.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, if I had done this and if I had done that, or maybe if I could, just the what ifs.
Oh,
I
yeah.
sat in the
100%.
what ifs forever. In fact, I tried to skip anger to go straight to the what ifs. Because I didn't want to hit anger. I didn't want to.
Oh, really?
Because I realized he never intentionally hid anything from me. And if he had, so much anger. Like, it would have been so very different. I just realized for me, the honesty was... I know it's
very
perfect,
nice.
right?
Very nice.
We're just trying every day. That's why we still try and go to the hospital every Sunday so we can get better.
Oh, it's a metaphor. Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah,
I like
you're
it.
with
I
me.
like it.
Okay. So,
So you were trying not to get angry.
Trying not to get
You didn't
angry.
like hide anything or
because I just hate
wasn't
being
sleeping around
angry.
with other girls or stuff. Okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but yeah, I tried so hard to skip that and just go straight to bargaining. But I realized for me, I needed to feel each step, or I just wasn't going to get through it.
Okay.
Because it is normal. I didn't want to be normal in that way. I wanted to be like, I don't have to be angry, or I don't have to be depressed. Like, I didn't want to have to do those things in there, because in general, I don't get very angry, and I'm not a very depressed person. But I realized I was holding back a lot of anger, and I definitely got depressed. I mean, who wouldn't? When you marry someone, you expect that to be your person forever.
Okay.
And
So
somehow they weren't.
yeah, it almost sounds like you were trying really hard to sort of have a sense of self-awareness and be aware of like where you are, what your projection is, and do everything in your power to sort of, I guess, not control that, but sort of guide it in the direction that you're going.
The direction that I wanted, but
Direction
I
you wanted,
realized
okay.
it wasn't where I was going.
Okay. So how did you use that to help through day to day? I mean, did you specifically identify where you were at, like on each day, or was that sort of like a reflection that you used at the end of each day?
A reflection. Yeah, it definitely
Okay.
had to be. Each time I'd kind of like pop in for therapy, because I was going every week. Like, I don't
That's
think
good. That's
I don't
smart.
think I could have survived it as well as I did without it. But I think each week I'd go in and be like, I felt this. She's like, okay, you're in this phase. So she walked me through it. Miss Rebecca, my therapist, walked me through it. And that's what really helped, is just realize, okay, this is normal. This is what's happening. And so when I had that for the following week to reflect on, it was like, okay, this was a normal day, even though my life's falling apart and it didn't feel normal. Like, with what's happening is normal, even though what I wanted to happen just wasn't what I expected to be my life.
Okay. That makes sense. It honestly takes a lot of just level-headedness and being cool and calm under pressure.
Sure, let's go with that, even though
I'm
it's
just
not
saying,
how I
like,
felt
I
at
don't
the
think
time.
a lot of people would take the time to actually be like, okay, well, even though everything feels like it's falling apart, this is, you said normal. I know it's, definitely like tragic and a transition and stuff like that, but recognizing that it's normal in the sense of like you can get through it. At least that's what I'm picking up from what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know, gives a little bit of hope.
Yeah, and I think part of it is the fact that I had a daughter. I realized I had to be okay for her as best as I knew how to be at the time. And I had a job where I'm a massage therapist, and you can't lose your crap working on that closely with people. You just can't do it. Though I do remember at the beginning of my...
crying.
I mean, to say I never cried would be a lie, but they never knew because they were face down. They were face down on the table.
Oh my gosh! So there were times where you were massaging people and you were just breaking down.
Absolutely, yeah.
Are you kidding?
And there was other times where I had panic attacks as well, from when he first came out to me, because that was the whole uncertainty stage. Like, because when he first came out, he didn't know if he actually wanted to stay together or not. He was trying to figure it out.
It was just kind of like decision.
Exactly. And so without knowing what the crap's gonna happen in my future and me having no control about it, I had never experienced panic attacks in my life until then. And there'd be times where I'd be in session, massaging someone, I'm freaking out, and yet somehow I'm able to keep my body just still enough, or I would intentionally move my hand a little bit to make it look like I'm doing a vibration movement in massage, to make it seem intentional, even though it absolutely was not.
Holy cow. How did you pull that off? Because, like, I can't do that. When the panic attacks hit me, or, just like a wave of sadness hits, and, like, I got to take time to break down, for lack of a better word. Dude, I got to leave. Like, I can't sit at my job. Like,
survival?
I got to take, 10, 15
I was
minutes.
in a phase of survival, because I think we've talked about this before, about how my blue-collar job does not allow me to be able to take a month off and get paid. Like, I didn't have that option. I realized I had to show up. I did not have any other alternative, or I wouldn't get paid.
Unless you tried to have another kid, and then you could do maternity leave.
Which my job still doesn't pay for, where I worked at the time. They don't pay for that stuff with where I was at.
Yeah, you should switch jobs.
Except I'm really good at it. At least that's what people tell me. And I really like it.
That's what's up. I like it.
So
I
have my own business now with it.
Something to...
Which is great.
Oh,
so
that's right.
I have that flexibility.
I like that.
So, but... that took a couple years to get to that point. But no, I don't really know how I did it, other than the fact it's kind of like the diabetic who, like, I don't know how you can poke yourself, but they do because they have to. And I think that's kind of where I was.
Just kind of like adapting to the situation.
Yeah. But I also, I lived with my sister and at the time, and she was very supportive. I had a really good support system as well, of people that just genuinely cared and checked in, and I think that really helped me make it through as well.
I was going to say, how did that work with, like, your daughter at the time, right? Obviously, you guys had her and trying to work out the separation and divorce and stuff like that. I mean, was that difficult at all? Did you have to pull in reinforcements from your family? Did you just kind of have to handle it, like, by yourself as a divorcing mom? I mean, how did that go?
So, if I'm understanding the question correctly, is how did we, like, kind of navigate the whole...
Not we, you.
How did I navigate the whole divorce, or
I mean, like,
we're
talking about you going into your massage parlor and massaging somebody, having those moments where you break down and just sort of lose all composure while somebody is literally right there, just inches away from you, and then you don't even go home to your own place or go home to family or something. You're going home to a daughter. How does that work? I mean...
Gotcha. Some days were better than others. Some days it was still there. Some days, like, the anxiety, the uncertainty, the freaking out was still lingering, but other
Gotcha.
days, I don't know. Some days it just was better. Like, I honestly don't really think I did anything in particular. It's more like what people did for me. Um, I definitely, like my best friend at work, when she could tell, she'd come right up to me and just give me a hug. And I've realized for me, hugs are
That's
magic.
awesome.
They really are.
Yeah.
They like a real proper hug. That's not like the whole little, sorry, not everyone can see this who's listening to the podcast. I'm doing this like this little light thing with my hand. But when you like go up to someone, give them a full on hug, don't have any parts of you lingering, it's just like a full
Oh yeah,
hug.
totally. It's
Those
like a teddy bear, kind of like
exactly.
sink into the beanbag kind of
those do more for me than I ever thought that they could until I got
I like that.
a divorce.
That's smart.
I think it's because just feeling like somebody cared about me enough to kind of wrap me in their arms and be like, okay, I'm not alone. And I can physically feel that. Because half the time you're like, you're not alone. You hear that all the time, right? But when you get that real life reassurance, you're like, oh, I really am not alone. So whenever I had people at work who could tell I just wasn't okay, they would just come up and do that. Because I'm not big on words. I'm kind of like, obviously you can do things like this, but in general, I'm a...
Let's hope so.
I don't know. In general, I'm definitely more of a...
What the people say that are listening to it. Keep going.
I think more in words than I do out. More of what I think happens in my brain doesn't always make it out my mouth. And it just kind of stays in there. Sense. But I do like to write. So a lot of my extreme emotions I wouldn't be able to process. Sometimes after massages, I would write it out in a poem.
Wow. Yeah. That's impressive.
So I have quite a bit of those since I've been divorced. So
Gotcha. You almost said depressed there for a
I
second.
did.
I was like, wow,
yeah.
All right, well,
I did almost say that. When I was depressed is when a lot of those happened. So they kind of help keep the voices away. Yeah.
Okay, so you definitely got reassurance from people that were around you, like your best friend giving you a hug, that kind of thing. And did you say like the poetry also gave reassurance, or was that just more like a mode of process?
That was more, I would say, a way to get it out of me, the emotions. It's like I had...
Oh, okay.
I mean, obviously people do like the gym and they go for runs and stuff. Like I would do that too, but I realized that was probably the most effective, was just writing it out. So.
Is that kind of where you let your guard down and everything sort of just got to, like you said, express and come out without a client being there, or like without your daughter being there, or have you do the masking or anything?
Yeah, actually, now that you ask me that, I don't think anyone... I mean, there's a few random people that know that I write when that happens.
Those special people.
Very special people.
Loud hearing inside.
But no, yeah, I think so. Because sometimes I go back and read them, and I was like, dang, Rebecca, that was... like, that was kind of deep, or that was very much vulnerable in those moments. Yeah, probably.
Interesting. Because that's the thing. I noticed that I do that a lot. And from most of the people that I talk to, it is kind of a common thing we call it masking, right?
Sure.
Where when you're going through something like this, you put on a face to survive, to literally just move on and, be like a normal person in society.
We become pros at it.
Exactly.
We have
to. But you can only do that for so long before you kind of hit the breaking point and everything just comes out,
Yes.
And I'm glad that you brought up the poetry and the processing, because I know for me, that's helped me a lot in just that day to day. If I don't take that time to actually like express and process whatever it is that's having me break down or what's going on, I can't really function the next day, and it becomes harder and harder to survive. Yeah. I don't know if you feel that same way, but this is just me talking out loud.
No,
kind of the point of the whole podcast.
Exactly, right? No, I'm with you. I realized just the other day I hadn't written one in a while, which was kind of nice that I didn't feel the need to. Wow. But I also realized on my phone the last time I wrote one was because of how much happiness I had. So it was different. So instead of it just being like sad or depressed,
that changes
the theme changed. It was like I had so much like positivity in me, I didn't know how to get it out, so it became a poem instead.
That's cool. That's really cool.
That was when I realized that. I was like, oh my gosh, look what I did.
Because, I was gonna say,
because the theme finally changed, and I didn't realize that I was going to get there, or that it almost like it was possible for a while. I just thought the only way that I would have so much built up emotion would be from sadness. And I was like,
Right,
look
right.
at that. I had a built up emotion of bliss, and it was kind of great.
That's actually really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Because, again, a lot of what we're doing here is just kind of, I guess, putting the journey out there and
Mm-hmm.
letting people be a part of it. Because, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get to that point where I write a happy poem because things are still pretty raw, you know? So,
Yeah. And I remember that face. I remember thinking that there's no light at the end of the tunnel.
right, right. There's like, well, this is where it ends. So,
But when I'd been divorced 2.5 years and very different circumstances, as to why, how you lost your wife and how I lost my husband, but
right.
very, very different. But again, the grief cycle is the same for everyone, and the end can be the same too.
So crazy. That's kind of cool, though. But
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for coming down and just telling us a little bit more about your
Yeah,
story and
absolutely.
whatnot.
Tip of the iceberg.
Right? Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, for the guys out there and everything, again, I know you guys are doing your best. I appreciate that. Thanks for being here and listening to Rebecca and I. Yeah, hope you guys have a good week, and we'll see you next time. So.